and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a fellow podcaster, no other than Miss Anika Jackson.
Thank you, Daniel. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Anika. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes, I am multifaceted. So the main things I do right now, I do marketing, communications, consulting, work in nonprofit. I also produce other people's podcasts, as well as hosting Your Brand Amplified and a podcast at University of Southern California called Mediascape: Insights from Digital Changemakers. I'm also a part-time lecturer at USC, teaching across the Masters in Digital Media Management and the Masters in Digital Social Media, where I have a podcast course that is just about to launch. So I love looking at technology. I love teaching. I love AI. So I am really at the intersection of those three things: teaching people how to teach better, helping people learn how to use AI tools, using tools, building out agentic AI myself, and then podcasting.
Podcasting indeed. Miss Anika Jackson, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom And today, let's talk about the new digital and AI ecosystem for the small business entrepreneur. How would you describe the current digital and AI ecosystem for small business entrepreneurs in 2025?
I believe that small businesses, some are really excited about using AI tools. Some are like, what the heck is that? Do I
Yes,
have to learn a new skill? Right? What
yes,
we don't realize is that artificial intelligence has been the backbone of a lot of the things that we do as business owners. Whether you are placing ads on social media platforms or even Google, you're getting the analytics, right? They can make recommendations for what time of day and where exactly they want to promote your product or service. That is all using artificial intelligence. When we think about doing our finances, if you are in systems such as Intuit and QuickBooks, they have chatbot tools that can make it a lot easier for you to navigate. I really see the smallest use case as using AI as a thought partner. So whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, et cetera, right? Using it as a tool that can help us continue our thoughts, come up with ideas, or even just say, hey, this is a concept I have for my brand. Here's my demographic profile, psychographic of my ideal customer profile. Is this the right campaign? Or is there something else I'm missing, right? What else should I be looking at? So not just using it for writing social media posts or creating posts like that, but taking it a step further and using it as a true partner, because AI is looking at every piece of information that humans have created. And so they're able to see what's worked and what hasn't worked and give us that advice. Then it also can help streamline a lot of processes. So whether it's right with podcasts, getting our clips for our promotion, like little video clips and snippets, the fast transcripts, captions for social media, but also I've created agentic tools for better vetting my guests and then being able to find podcasts that people who want to be guests on podcasts, like in my own network. So I want to take all of the people that I have, because they're already warm leads, people I know, and create tools that help other people also make sure that they are a perfect match for each show on both sides, and that they know they're going to come to a podcast with confidence and add a lot of value. And the guest knows, right, that this is the right audience for them as well, and that they can help engage with the audience of the host.
Miss Anika, beautifully articulated. Very well said. What inspired you to explore the transformative potential of AI for small business, as highlighted by sources like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, that is such a great question. Part of it is teaching digital media and working in the space. You see that there are different tools. Like as a podcaster, there's always a new tool coming out that uses AI. When ChatGPT first started coming out, and everybody's like, "Oh, what is this thing? Okay, generative artificial intelligence." I had to start learning how to infuse it into my classroom because I knew that if our students don't learn it, right, then they're going to be behind. As a business owner and business leader, I was a member of the Intuit Small Business Council for several years. So we would go to Congress, they still do, go to Congress every year to talk about issues surrounding small businesses. And what we were seeing is during the pandemic, there were very many small businesses that didn't have great websites, that weren't completely digitized, maybe didn't have an email list, right? So that's one thing is digital transformation. And then the next phase we saw, and this is something we talked about last year when we went to Congress, was AI powers Main Street and how, especially for small business owners, which are the backbone of society and the majority of business is out there, if we can have more tools to simplify some of the menial tasks that we have in our businesses, then we have more time to actually work on our businesses instead of in the businesses. We have more time to create things that our customers will love. And all of that just creates a better ecosystem and it creates more market longevity for the small business owner because many small business owners go out of business pretty quickly. But if we can get everybody to understand these tools, to be able to have access to these AI tools and digital transformation tools, then they have a longer staying power.
Yes, people, let's embrace AI because this is the new innovation of the 21st century. How are AI tools like Microsoft 365 Copilot helping small business save time and boost productivity?
Mm. That is one of the great ecosystems because so many businesses do use the Microsoft suite of tools, Outlook, right? Copilot is a big part of that. And so the beauty is that it can move seamlessly from one of your Microsoft products to the other and help you fine tune whether it's the pitch, the language, the promo message, the sales message, and again, be a thought partner for you every step along the way, help you figure out how to better utilize your email list, right? How to connect to all of your different products. So I love the fact that I can go into a CRM and I can see what time should I be emailing people, but also how do I segment my audience and send the right messages to people and differentiate those messages depending on what their customer behavior has been. So that's one way that I look at in the in the different ecosystems. Mhm.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. But Microsoft Copilot is a great place for that a lot of people are starting, right? Because then
Yes.
they're able to write. It can help with language comprehension, particularly when you are selling with somebody in a different country. There may be
Mm.
some language barrier, and so it can help you overcome that language barrier so that everybody is on the same page.
The same page indeed. And how does the accessibility of cloud based AI platforms level the playing field for small business compared to a larger corporation?
Mm. Again, you are bringing some excellent questions to the table. Uh, so we know that enterprise solutions, right, the large organizations, they have a lot of money to spend.
Yes.
And there are so many businesses. Even I go to several AI conferences every year, and many of the vendors are only focused on those enterprise solutions, the people who can give them really big paychecks. So what does that do for the little guy, right? The smaller
Yes.
business. And that's where cloud-based solutions come in because they make them affordable. Everybody has access to them. It doesn't matter if you are a micro business, you can still use, right? Amazon systems. You can still use Google. You can still use a lot of these different systems. The issue that comes up is sometimes when everything, goes dark, sometimes technology fails. And then we have that issue of, oh, okay, every system is down. what do we do? But that's something that we're going to have to look at and figure out how to solve, knowing that we are now fully entrenched in this. We're in this in between time, but we are all moving to AI first.
Miss Anika, can you tell us about your brand Amplified?
Absolutely. Your Brand Amplified is my podcast and my business consultancy. The podcast has been around since 2020. I've had two other podcasts um, that I did for clients when I was working more in the PR space. And before that, I had a radio and Facebook Live show. So, with this podcast, I love to speak to business owners of all levels. I have spoken to people who are small businesses who have had a lot of success and, six-figure exits, seven-figure, eight-figure exits, $1 billion in revenue for their company growth. So I don't necessarily discriminate against one kind of business owner versus another because all of our stories are valuable and we always have something new to learn. So I love speaking to people, sharing their story and their journey, and then giving them a platform. My podcast is in the Apple US Marketing Top 10, which is really, it's a proud moment for me because I'm an independent podcaster like yourself.
Yes,
We fund this. It's a labor of love. We put a lot of time and energy into
definitely.
what we do. And so I also know that I'm adding value for, they're adding a lot of value for me by being on my podcast, but I'm also giving them a bigger platform to share their message and their story and their journey. And out of that, I do have some consulting services. I help people a little bit with public relations, marketing strategy. And then I've started creating some different AI tools to help people with podcast production. And then, you know, AI strategy, things like that. A little bit, I do a lot of different things, right? So it's hard to put them all into one box.
Definitely. Congratulations, Miss Anika, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your short-term and long-term goals as a podcast host?
Well, I also I test everything before I recommend it to other people. And I am monetizing my podcast. And so, I'm in the mid five figures right now for monetization. So by the beginning of next year, and we have a few more months left of this year, but I will be fully monetized, making six figures, which means I'll be able to make a bigger investment in my podcast, in my team, and do some of the things that I don't always have time to do right now because there's always growth opportunities, there's always room for improvement. And so I really look forward to that time and that day. So that's kind of a short-term goal that I already see the trajectory. And then the long-term goal is to really continue to help other people. So learn how to use more technology, learn how to help other people bring their message to the world and get it out to the right audience, the right time, so that it makes a difference in their life and their business.
Yes, let's do the six figures. Miss
Mhm.
Anika, looking forward for more success and good luck to your goals.
Thank you.
And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be a podcast host as well as entrepreneur?
Mhm. If you want to be a podcast host and you're not a big name, don't go into it thinking you're going to make money right away.
Yes,
This is an investment of our time, our energy. We buy
true.
equipment, right? We figure out Riverside versus Zoom versus StreamYard versus other platforms. We try and test a lot of things to get to the point where we are, but we're consistent. Just like anything you do in life, if you want to succeed,
Consistency. Yeah.
right? You have to keep practicing. It's a skill that you have to hone. And I noticed that when it went from sporadic podcasting as a hobby to let me make sure I have at least one episode out a week, it
Yes.
changed, right? When I got to 50 episodes, 100 episodes, the algorithm made my podcast more discoverable because, she's taking it seriously. She's not just going to stop producing episodes
Yes.
like most podcasters do. So I really want to help people learn how to have a long lasting, successful podcast that also makes money, whether that's through lead gen, through ad revenue, through communities. But I want this to be a real tool for people to be able to step into their power. And we can do that, but you just have to remember that you have to start somewhere. You have to take that first step, and you have to give yourself time to have those growth opportunities appear. It's not going to be overnight unless you have, maybe a true crime podcast, or you are a celebrity athlete, somebody
Yes.
who people know their name.
Yes, consistency is the key, people. You
Yeah.
know what, Miss Anika, when I started my first season on Book 101 Review,
Yeah.
I used my iPhone 10 and
Yep.
$10 microphone. So, people, if you have the passion to be a podcast host, go, go, go and share your voice to the world, just like Miss Anika and I. And thank you for that advice, Miss Anika. And what would be, or can you recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Ooh, there are so many books that have influenced my journey. I read a lot of the recent books on AI. I also listen to a lot of the podcasts on AI so that I can keep up. And the book I chose today is actually a little bit different. It's a fictional book called Pope Annalisa. So that can be a little controversial, right? Because there's never a female pope.
Yes.
But the story behind it, I think, is really, really interesting. It's about an African nun who has miracle working abilities, who rises from just being a nun in an impoverished community in Africa to becoming the first female pope in history. Her mother's also Muslim, which makes it a little controversial. But what she's trying to do is bring people together. And so I love the idea of thinking about how do you stay a strong woman or a strong person in times of tumult, right? Whether it's economy, whether it's people fighting in politics, whether it's the tariffs or whatever the issues are that are going on in the world. It doesn't matter. It's not necessarily being about a woman or a pope, but how do you help people find the points to come together? And part of the book, right? I think it's really culturally relevant right now. Um, so we answer the questions. What are some of the pressing issues of the time, right? Can institutions evolve to be more equal for everybody? Many people who are innovators are outsiders. So, how do we make sure that we're welcoming to all people, knowing that the next person you speak to might have a brilliant idea and it might be somebody you usually completely overlook? So, I think it talks a lot about tradition, doubt, faith. And these are all concepts that I think we're all grappling with right now and that we need to think about because I know for myself, I want to know that, I'm loved and that I'm giving love to other people. And we might not have the same backgrounds, the same histories, the same job title, the same religion, but there are ways for us to come together to do good for the world. And so I think that needs to be a focus point. So to me, it's really a book of inspiration, hope, acceptance, joy, resilience, and just having that attitude of we can do this together.
We can do this together, Miss Anika. Let's our podcast be well known to the world and empowering people all over the world. And thank you for that recommendation, Miss Anika. What what your advice for small businesses to use AI responsibly,
Mhm.
ensuring trust and compliance with customers, as emphasized by McKinsey?
That is one of the biggest questions of the day, especially since every country has different AI policy, has different
Yes,
data privacy policy. In the United States, every state has a different policy, right? So it can be hard to figure out. So I always say err on the side of the most caution, being able to be the most transparent and honest for our customers. So what does that mean? If you're just starting to use AI tools, yes, there are a lot of free tools out there, but find the one that you like the best, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude is my favorite, although I do subscribe to both, and get a subscription. You can get a
yes,
$20 a month subscription, and that gives you some protection, right? The other thing
yes,
that I like is people, again, usually use ChatGPT, which trains on all of the data that we're putting in. In Claude by Anthropic, it does not train on our data. So the information that we put in is safe. So you want to really think about, how do you safeguard people's information about your business, your own original IP and ideas that you have. And so I say, get a subscription, try something out, learn how to prompt engineer. There's a free tool called MarTech Bot. So it's for marketing technology. And they have an AI chatbot that you can ask a lot of questions to about building your business. So test out these free tools for that, because that's a little different, right? It's not a large language model. It's not ChatGPT or Anthropic. So try out different tools you find like that. And there's a lot of tools out there. So you want to find the one that works best for you and your business, not just because everybody's saying it or doing it or using it.
Yes. It's a matter of experiment, people. If you like one of these device or app that's good for your business, do for it.
Yeah.
Who knows? It will help you to, wow, to earn more money for sure.
Yeah.
And Miss Anika, what is your recommendation for small businesses to use AI responsibly, in the sense that make their business more, well, growth, the
Hmm.
expanding growth?
There are a few things there. Don't start with the advertising unless you've really done your research, right? Because we're seeing a lot of changes in the advertising industry, whether it's with Google or whether it's if you advertise on Facebook or using Meta products. So sometimes you might have to spend a lot more money. So if you're going to start advertising on those platforms, start small, maybe $1 a day, just so it can learn about your brand. But I would say, actually, not to toot my own horn, but I have an AI twin on Delphi. So it's Delphi, delphi.com/amplify with Anika, Anika. And you can ask, it has over 4 million words from workshops I've given, classes I've taught, interviews I've done, my podcast. And so it's a great place to go to ask for advice on how you can build a brand, what you need to consider when you're starting a marketing plan. And she has all my knowledge. So she'll tell you, it is me. You can call
All
her
in one.
or you can text. And then I also on LinkedIn do put out a newsletter about different AI tools that I've tried, and kind of as a how-to manual. So I would say also look at people's newsletters, see what other people are using, and get their explicit how-tos so that you can see, oh, maybe this is something I want to try for my business. Like you said, it's about experimentation. It's about using tools that you can see may have some success for other people, or that there's a roadmap, right? So that you don't get
Yes.
lost,
Yes.
because you can have amazing growth using these tools.
Amazing growth. We love that, Miss Anika. And how can entrepreneurs use AI to personalize customer experiences, such as through recommendation engines
Yeah.
or sentiment analysis?
Hmm. That is where I was mentioning CRMs earlier, right?
Yes.
And that is a great tool, because what you want to do is, you don't want to just have your audience on social media platforms, because if that social media platform goes away tomorrow, you don't have access to your customer base. What you want to do is get people who are following you, or commenting, liking, sharing your account and information. You want to get them into your website, to giving you an email address, so that then you have their information captured. And then what's really big right now is first party data. So you want to ask them maybe some survey questions, maybe give them a little discount if they answer the questions, if they haven't become a customer yet. It's also a great way, right? We can take the analytics. This is where AI comes in really handy, because we want personalization as consumers, and we want to see that our brands that we invest in care for us. I used an example of, there's a big airline that because of where I've lived in California, I've used a lot.
Mm, yeah.
My birthday's in December, and so they sent me an happy birthday email in December. But what they offered me was to upgrade a ticket, maybe from regular economy to
Personal.
premium economy, in the month of December, though. So it's already halfway through December. Probably not going to book expensive travel because we know that's a very expensive month.
Yes.
And so it didn't add any value. And so it was obvious they didn't look at my customer profile. And this is where AI can really help. It can analyze and say, this person loves it when you release shoes and they don't buy your other apparel, but they will buy this, right? Or
Yes.
whatever product you want to say. Or this person usually travels to these countries at these times of the year. Maybe we should offer them an incentive for that to book their next travel if they haven't started, maybe they haven't been there in a few months or in a year. So maybe that's an incentive. So we can get to this hyper personalization level. Maybe somebody only buys the color purple when they come to your website. So every time you have a new item and it has the color purple, that's the one they buy. I know these are, can be silly examples, but it just shows you how when you use the data and you get the recommendation engines to tell you, here's what you need to do and what you need to send to this customer, it makes them feel good. It makes them feel seen, heard, valued, included in your business. And we're not too far off from having dynamic websites that can change and personalize based on somebody's consumer behavior when they purchase from us. And so that's, it's a little bit down the road for most businesses, but we will start seeing that where you want this personalization, you want to start understanding and learning it now and how to use these AI tools so that you can have that. You can customize each person's experience when they come to your website. And then that gives them it builds more trust.
Trust indeed, Miss Anika. Beautifully articulated. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast too, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season as well. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in each third season, and my movie 101 review and music 101 in its fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Anika, what's the one key takeaway you want to small business entrepreneurs to understand about thriving in the new digital and AI ecosystem?
Start now. Don't be scared. Don't think about AI as RoboCop or, any of those scary movies.
Yes.
Think about it as a useful tool that will help you grow your business much more quickly, much less expensively, and help you. Because I think that's a lot of the problem when we go into business. We spend money in the wrong areas, but we can
Yes.
use analysis and we can really make better decisions so that we can grow our businesses methodically, carefully, lay a strong foundation, and use these tools to help us and help provide us with what we need to be successful.
Miss Anika Jackson, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your podcast, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, your brand amplified on all podcast platforms is where I'd love people to go. You can find my contact information. You can contact me, LinkedIn, my website, etc. But go to the podcast, give it a listen. Every episode is very unique, and I think that you'll enjoy it.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Anika Jackson because if you support her, for sure, more empowering episodes of the podcast itself. So, Miss Anika, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.